Welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. Tonight, we are present a special Afro Takeover featuring prominent Black voices from the South Florida community. It's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Thursday, May 26, 2022, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are in partnership between It's Happening Out television network and Hotspots magazine. Hotspots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. We bring you the best of the LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our community.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Jameer Baptiste. Let's welcome anchor John Buckley, a sales supervisor at Ramova. He is vice president and program director of the Unity Coalition, as well as the creator of the initiative Caoba, a free traveling social event that features inspiring speakers, topics, and a safe space for all same-gender loving men of color. He is also known as Buck Lords from the famous House of Lords. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Jameer. Thank you. Let's welcome anchor Paul Thomas. He is currently the chairman of the LGBTQ plus advisory committee to the city of Miami Beach, a board member of Miami Beach Pride, on the board of trustees for the Point Foundation, and the endorsement committee for SAVE. He has over 30 years of experience in healthcare and education fields, specializing in HIV and AIDS treatments, as well as an activist advocate for marginalized community. Locally, he works with many of our nonprofits and federally qualified health centers, providing a wide range of services. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Buck Lords. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today. Thursday, May 26th.
Queer up South Florida and Florida. South Florida's PrideFête, the LGBT Caribbean Pride Festival, is announced. Hotspots magazine and the Happening Out television network have partnered with Pride Fort Lauderdale and the city of Wilton Manors to bring an LGBTQ plus Caribbean Pride Festival back to the island city. The newly branded PrideFête takes its name after the recognizable French word in the carnival community meaning party. The authentic Caribbean fest will represent the heart of carnival culture while set in the heartland of South Florida's premier LGBTQ plus destination, Wilton Manors. Two elements rarely ever infused together. PrideFête will take place on Saturday, August 13th from 3 to 11 p.m. at the beautiful Richardson Historical Park and Nature Preserve, where its Pride Fort Lauderdale's counterpart, Caribbean Pride, used to be held when it was under the control of the nonprofit who created it, SunServe. In anticipation of the August 13th PrideFête, the LGBTQ plus Caribbean Festival will premiere another first with its Mr., Mix, and Mrs. Pride Fort Lauderdale pageant, befittingly taking place during Gay Pride and Caribbean Pride Month in June on Wednesday the 29th, starting at 8 p.m. in the vibrant Wilton Drive restaurant Hamburger Mary's Wilton Manors. The first ever South Florida LGBTQ plus Caribbean pageant will include the first mixed title for non-binary, gender non-conforming, androgynous, or genderqueer identifying contestants. Subscribe to hotspotsmagazine.com newsletter for continued updates on PrideFête and the pageant. How cool is that?
That sounds amazing. That
Right?
sounds like a lot of fun.
Right?
This is a refreshing diversity to add we including all of our community, and I think this is really going to be beautiful.
Like a Caribbean fete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That just sounds like something I haven't been to in too many years. I think I
Right.
need to go to that.
and it's been around for a while. Sunsurf started it, but what's awesome about bringing it back to Wilton Manors is that we're coupling it with a pageant that's never been
Yeah.
identical or identified with the Caribbean experience, you know?
Right.
So to add that mix into it and then to throw in the mixed title of
No.
MX, you know, non-conforming,
Yeah.
and,
That's
you know,
awesome.
to have
Fantastic.
that contestants there, it should be an interesting mix.
Absolutely.
Next, we queer up the USA view. The far right falsely claims a trans woman responsible for Texas school shooting. 4chan is the Wild West of the internet. There are few regulations, and everyone from hacktivists to the trolls use it to springboard for sending out their information. After the Uvalde shooting, several groups on 4chan started finding images of trans women who look vaguely like 18-year-old Salvatore Ramos, the shooter. Most people aren't stupid enough to fall for 4chan's jokes, but U.S. Representative Paul Gosar apparently is. Gosar retweeted an earlier image stating the shooter had not yet been revealed, saying, in quote, "We already know, fool. It's a transsexual, leftist illegal alien named Salvatore Ramos. It's apparently your kind of trash," end quote. As the trans community, especially Black and brown trans women, face unprecedented violence, many fear such public attacks could lead to worsening issues. This is crazy, and I don't even have the words to put together why he would say such an ignorant comment, but I'm not surprised.
Not surprised, but a little surprised, right? Because people have been learning and educating and sitting in seminars, and like people have been learning, right? And when you're a public person like he is, to make a tweet without confirming that it's true, and then to say such hateful things about other human beings, is like, I don't know. Is that a bubble? I don't know what that is.
Well, a lot of them, you know, in that position, it's like with that comes, you know,
A lot
for
of
me, it's like
responsibility.
responsibility. And obviously, he doesn't have that responsibility, but some of them thrive off of that and they get their constituents from not having that responsibility. And as if this tragedy wasn't hard enough for people to stomach,
Right.
to have something like that said, it just adds fuel to the fire. And it's really ridiculous that, like Buckley said,
Yeah.
words can't describe.
Yeah. But we have to stop accepting things like that. You know, like you said, the responsibility for being a public person, we have to make sure that people are doing the right thing with their information. Somebody could have went home and killed themselves from
Right.
seeing that tweet. Like it's affecting people's lives in negative ways that it doesn't need to. It's so unnecessary.
Hence the importance of knowing who you're electing into office.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, now we're going to queer up politics. Black gay candidates make history with primary wins in Texas. Woo! History was made this week for LGBTQ plus representation in the Texas primaries. Black gay men, Benton Jones and Christian Manuel Hayes, both won their Democratic primaries and both are running in heavily Democratic districts. Earlier this month, out lesbian Jolanda Jones won a special election to fill the seat vacated by State Rep Garnett Coleman, who retired in February. That made Jones the first ever Black member of the LGBTQ plus community in the state legislature. She won the seat until December, but is expected to win the midterm election and serve a full term.
What? Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all of those that won.
Yeah.
Congratulations to our community. Congratulations to us as a culture and United States for actually allowing this to happen, you know, like, you know, us working together.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And really, congratulations to the state of Texas because they need these voices.
Yes.
They cannot continue into the future just not knowing the rest of the world. There's 7 billion people on the world. Get over it.
Right.
Like, you're not that important. There's a lot of us, and we're into all different kind of things, and that's all okay.
Right.
And like, stop with the nonsense already. But also notice that it's the Black gay people leading the way, right?
The visibility is
This is how we
much
have gay
needed.
rights now.
Right.
Like, from Stonewall,
Right.
from before Stonewall, from, I mean,
It's beautiful.
it's amazing, and it's beautiful, and I'm so happy for them all.
It-
Even the ones that don't like it, I'm happy for them too.
Of
It
course.
truly is beautiful. I can't be more elated about this situation and the
Yeah.
fact that, you know, like you said, it's queer individuals that are
Yeah.
leading the charge.
Leading
there.
the charge.
Queer up the road to Stonewall. Stonewall Pride to celebrate Juneteenth with a flash mob before Wilton Drive Parade. Hotspots Magazine and the Happening Out Television Network bring back their Stonewall Pride Juneteenth flash mob for the second year. The nonprofit started the Fun Group Dance back in 2021 in observance of Juneteenth, the American holiday that commemorates the day slaves were emancipated in Texas while also celebrating African American culture. Stonewall Pride 2022 falls on the 18th this year, but that doesn't mean that the cherished tradition is not going to stay alive. Along with their Black Excellence stage, we are excited to welcome back our Stonewall Pride Juneteenth flash mob. Hotspots joins forces with gay, Black, and proud local DJ Joey Brown to create a fresh new music mix for 2022 that incorporates music sung, produced, and or performed by people of color. The amazingly talented dance instructor in the Royal Peacock Dance Studio in Oakland Park owner, Adam Anthony, joined to edit the mix and choreograph great moves for the dance. Not to mention, we also added some great new giveaways. Join our Zoom practice leading up to the flash mob and earn your chance to win 2 VIP Stonewall Pride tickets. And on the day of, the largest 2 groups of friends will receive 50 and 25% off their choice of a vendor booth or parade entry for Stonewall Pride 2023. Go to our website at stonewallpride.lgbt to learn all about the details.
Hey.
Was that you?
That was just me.
That was me on there trying.
I was like, wait a second.
It is so interesting that last time I created the dance, and then this time I have to take the lead from someone else, and I realized that I'm not that much of a dancer as I thought I was. But what's great about it is that the dance moves were made easy for beginners and non-dancers, so
Okay.
everybody could join in.
You were moving pretty good up there.
Oh, thank
Come
you.
on.
That was after sweat, blood, and tears. I'm just playing. No, but it's interesting, and I hope everybody does join in. It's just
Yes.
a fun way to celebrate and commemorate Juneteenth. So how cool would it be if we just had a mob of people just
Yeah.
dancing to Black
Amazing.
excellence, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
sounds like fun.
Next, we queer up gay culture. Trans activist Sean Ebony Coleman challenges Black people to support LGBTQ plus community. Sean Ebony Coleman founded Destination Tomorrow, an LGBTQ plus resource center that focuses on bringing focus to the violence, healthcare issues, and other issues faced by the transgender community. In an interview with The Root, he spoke about how leaders in the Black community need to welcome all voices in that community. When discussing the intersectionality of gender sexuality and race, he said, and quote, "Our leaders need to recognize that whatever table they're preparing, they need to prepare space for LGBTQ plus community members. When you're looking at housing, food insecurity, and criminal justice reform, and all of those things, we intersect in all of that. I guarantee you there's a Black queer person somewhere in that space who may not feel comfortable enough to say what their unique needs are as well." End quote. Very, very true. We are represented in all walks of life, you know, other than us just being a community. LGBTQ plus, we are in the world just like everybody else, and we support businesses, we support everything. So it's great to finally have someone to challenge people to make sure our needs are being met.
Yeah,
Well,
address.
I think it's important too to speak to that leadership because he's talking to Black leadership, right?
Especially.
and saying, wait, you're missing a couple of seats at the table. And I hear this sometimes where people will make comments and I'm like, well, what happens when you're both? What happens when you're Black and gay, right? And some of the Black leadership sitting at that table may need to hear from that queer voice.
They do.
To find acceptance for their child or their relative or their...
They don't know how to deal with.
Exactly, because they haven't had the opportunity, right, historically, to find that type of acceptance. Little by slowly, I'm noticing that it's happening more and more, right?
Yeah.
But for far too long, they weren't able to.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to. Nobody had told them it was okay. They had only heard that it was not okay. So I'm glad that he brought it up and specifically to that group to say, okay, it's time to add a couple of more seats and have these conversations.
And it's people like him that really are willing to speak up
Right.
and mention it and say it and articulate it
Right.
in such a great way that we can all now say, okay, we can experience this, we can work at it, and
Start
it's
to
in
have
front of
these
our face.
conversations,
Exactly.
you know,
We
long time coming.
we tend within our culture to judge ourselves harder,
Right.
especially within our different cultures.
Right.
So this is very important that it's being brought to the light and having that conversation as we continue to have them.
Absolutely.
I think it's slowly but surely opening up that leadway to acceptance
Exactly.
and
You're right about
support.
that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine and supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ+ religious live broadcast in the world as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
I'm Kiara Johnson, the Executive Director of the National LGBTQ Task Force. And as one of the most important civil rights organizations, I know the value of the support that comes from all corners of our community. That's why Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We finished tonight's queer news headlines with what we call LGBTQ+ flash news.
LGBTQ+ flash news. Barbie to release an official Laverne Cox doll for Pride. Barbie is the girl who has everything, and she knows everyone. Mattel has used their Barbie brand in the past to pay tribute to icons like Lucille Ball, Helen Keller, and Vera Wang. Now they're celebrating the iconic Laverne Cox with an official Barbie collection doll. The description from the website reads, quote, as a 4-time Emmy-nominated actress, Emmy-winning producer, and the first transgender woman of color to have a leading role on a scripted TV show, Laverne Cox uses her voice to amplify the message of moving beyond societal expectations to live more authentically, end quote. You can get one for yourself at creations.mattel.com. I think that's fantastic. I love Laverne Cox. And I think it's fantastic that it's something like Barbie, which is typically for children, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they can start that conversation early and find that acceptance early or find a way to talk to their parents about something early. I think it's amazing.
It's interesting. I have a bittersweet kind of feeling to it because Barbie has been known for that, you know, look of a particular identity, you know, and form, body shape, and so on and so forth that sometimes kind of convolutes children's understanding of what acceptance is, you know, but at the same time, how amazing is that, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's normally for kids, but go out there and get your collector's item, right?
Absolutely,
Because Laverne Cox might be worth something.
She is.
You never know.
Right.
Simply said, Black trans girls rock.
Yes.
I like that.
LGBTQ plus flash news. Here are Pride collections that actually benefit the LGBTQ plus community. It's almost June, and that means it's everyone's favorite month. Shove rainbows on everything for Money Month. Many in the LGBTQ plus community have gotten tired of rainbow capitalism, or the act of pandering to the community by sticking rainbows on merchandise during Pride. There are, however, companies who actually use that money to better our community. For example, 100% of the profits from the Disney Pride collection go to benefit organizations including Al Forney Center, Gleason, PFLAG, the Trevor Project, and others. Skittles has turned its rainbow gray and given it to the LGBTQ plus community for Pride. And $1 from every pack of the gray candies goes to GLAAD, up to $100,000. Kohl's has partnered with the Fluid Project to celebrate gender diversity for Pride and has committed to donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project. This is awesome, and it shows not only their allyship, but their support of our community, not just by words, but by monetary.
Yes. For me, LGBTQ plus community, pay attention. Know where you're spending your money.
Yes.
Stop allowing them to use your money to subjugate you. Pay attention to who you're giving your money to. I love it.
And that's a good message, you know, and that goes across the board for all cultures. That goes to our Black culture as well. You know, you might see that African pride or African daishiki somewhere.
Right.
Know where it's coming from and who is producing it and where that money potentially might be going to. Because you might think that you're supporting the LGBTQ plus community or the Black community and so on and so forth, when you're just lining someone's pocket that really isn't giving back to the people that need it. But kudos to the companies that are, you know, because Rainbow is plugged on everything for June, you know, so it's good that there are some companies out there that are really giving that money back to our community.
Absolutely.
LGBTQ plus flash news. New UK report finds the number of LGB has doubled. Official figures out of the United Kingdom show that the number of people who identify as LGB have increased dramatically since 2014. The number of men who identify as gay and bi increased from 1.9% to 3.4% since 2014. During that time period, the number of women who identified as lesbian or bi increased from 1.4% to 2.8%. A full 8% of people ages 16 to 24 identified as LGB. It's so crazy. I just have to say off the face of it, to say LGB instead of LGBTQ plus, it's like it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy when you're so used to saying it. But in regards to this topic alone, I think we've always been present. We've always been out there. And what these numbers represent to me is not that necessarily we increase the numbers, but more people are comfortable communicating that. Or the system is really getting it right now to where people are being counted for who they truly are.
I would definitely say kudos to, number one, figuring and being comfortable with your own self. I think more and more as we have conversations and we show images that aren't stereotypical, people are seeing, especially people of color, are seeing people that they can relate to. And that's important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, for me, really hopeful that people are able to say, yeah, this is how I identify, and be okay with that. And the more that's okay, the less the other statistics happen, right? The less that we have suicides, the less that we have substance abuse. The more, so I think those numbers are incredibly encouraging.
Yeah.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show. Is our community important to you? Then help us by liking and subscribing, ring the bell for updates, share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Jameer Baptiste, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including John Buckley and Paul Thomas, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night, all.
Good night.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to